Okay guys, welcome to the Friday Waffle. If you're thinking it's a bit of an odd angle, I'm actually recording this on, it's a Samsung A6 tablet thing, which I got last, when was it? I can't even remember what date it was, I got it last week. It was my mate George. I need to remember to look at the camera and stop looking at myself in this. Yeah, my mate George, I was through seeing him last, whatever day it was, last week, and he was showing me he'd bought this tablet thing, and I've got to say I was super impressed. Now, I do actually own three iPads which I have bought with my own money. An iPad Pro, which my daughter uses constantly, so I don't get to use that. My ex has an iPad 3, which I've never asked for back. I don't know how good an iPad 3 is nowadays. And I've also got an iPad 2, which it's alright, it's a bit sluggish. So I thought, I really need to get myself a tablet. So when George showed me this Samsung, I mean it was £149.99 I think it was. Got to say, super impressed. It's a octo-core, 8-core to you and I. This is obviously the front-facing camera, or is it the rear-facing camera? I don't know. It's the one, if you're looking at the screen, it's pointing back. So this is obviously the not very good camera. I think the other one is 8 megapixels. I think this one might be 2. So it's probably shit quality, but you know what? You're used to shit quality videos from myself anyway. So yeah, it's Friday. I returned to work on Thursday. New Year. Sorry, I've completely forgot to say happy 2019 to everybody. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of New Year. I don't want to get into making this a miserable waffle. Even Christmas I'm not a fan of now. Fortunately, there's people who are completely on the flip side of me. There's guys like Dave, you know, Lawn Boys Post 1975. Dave is so enthusiastic about Christmas, and that's what you should be like. I think for me, it's there's multiple reasons. Biggest one for me is my mum and dad have both passed away. So I've lost both my parents. I know lots of people lose their parents, but I've got quite a small family, and the second thing is, in light of the fact that I now stay myself, you know, it's, I wouldn't say it was a lonely Christmas. I'm not going to start crying or anything like that, or I'm not going to start singing that song by, was it Mud, I think it was? Going to be lonely this Christmas without you to hold. Yeah, I mean, it's, I don't know, I think a lot of people are becoming the same. They're getting very, very pissed off with the whole commercialisation of Christmas. I know it's always been like that, but I don't give a shit what anybody says. It is definitely going worse. It's 100% going worse. You know, when I think back to what I got as a kid, and you know, to what kids now get, it's not even the fact that kids get spoiled, and they do get spoiled. It's just the fact that it seems that it's so commercial. I mean, you're getting Christmas adverts rammed down your throat in October. Is that an exaggeration? I don't think it is. I'm sure they were selling Christmas stuff in September, October. And I was in my local co-op, when would it be, before Christmas. No, in fact, I'm talking bollocks. I think it was Boxing Day I went in, and they've already got the Easter stuff out for sale. So they're not even letting us get over the current festive season, whatever you want to call it, and they're already trying to ram the next thing down our throat. You know what I mean? It's just, and the thing is, I always think that people feel obliged. They feel obliged to try and compete with their friends or neighbours, how much they spend, and I'm quite sure lots and lots of people get into mega debt over this time of year, and that's wrong. You should never get yourself into debt, not for something like this, because, and the big thing for me is I actually do like Christmas Day. Christmas Day itself is good fun. I went up to my sister's house, but the thing that kind of depresses me is, before Christmas Day's even over, it's holiday adverts, it's Boxing Day sales adverts. You know, let us enjoy the moment instead of trying to force feed us all this other crap for, you know, the future. And you know, so to my mind, once Christmas Day is over, that is Christmas. As far as I'm concerned, Christmas is finished. And then after that, you've got the kind of couple of days in between Christmas and New Year when you're not doing very much. You know, I didn't do a great deal. And then New Year, I mean, I was in bed. I sat up. My daughter was with me. I stayed up to midnight. I watched The Crap, which is Scottish Christmas TV, Scottish New Year TV. It's, if you've ever watched any of the TV in Scotland in New Year, it's bloody awful. Well, that's not technically true. You have some decent bands, but the problem is it's the same thing over and over and over and over again. And I've always said that you could probably replay the one from 2008 and you wouldn't know that it wasn't from today because it's just the same thing. But again, I was in bed for 12:10. My next door neighbours, they were letting off fireworks, which is fine. It's New Year, but the problem is I've got two dogs, and Archie, the West Highland Terrier, is absolutely petrified. He's petrified of them. He's shaking, you know. He's and he's yelping. I mean, he's so scared. So, you know, that was a bit traumatic. So I was in my bed for 12:10. And then they were playing music outside. I'm not going to complain because it is New Year after all. You know, you can't go complain. I don't want to be a Victor Meldrew and, you know, moan about it. But just me personally, I'm not a fan of this time of year. I'm a much bigger fan of summer and spring. And the good thing about getting Christmas and New Year over is you can now start looking forward to lighter nights, better weather, getting out with the dogs, going for runs at 10 o'clock at night, just being outside. I love that time of year. As I've gotten older, I've loved it all the more. So yeah, but I came back to work today, and of course, not today, yesterday I should say, and of course the couple of days before I was going back to work, all I could think about was the thought of going back to work, and it's awful. It's a horrible, horrible feeling. I mean, I was only off, I took 4 days off, so I was off, maybe 11 days, something like that, when you factor in the sort of public holidays, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's Day, and then the 2nd of January is a holiday up here in Scotland, and then you've got the Saturday, Sundays as well. So it was about 11 days I was off, and I was dreading going back to work, and I'm glad I've had these 2 days and it's now the weekend, and to be fair, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. So anyway, yeah, I'm delighted. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm never a big... God, I am so negative, I really am. I'm not a big fan of anniversary type things. Like my birthday, I personally do not... I wouldn't say I don't celebrate it. People will give me presents, which is fine. But I personally don't think... I would never ever have a party for myself for my birthday. I just don't see... I don't see that's to be celebrated. And I know lots of people do celebrate birthdays, which is fine. I'm quite happy to go along to other people's birthdays, but for me personally, I'm not interested. It's just a number. To me, it's all about living. I don't, you know, people will say, "Oh, I'm going to go on a diet in the 1st of January, or I'm going to join the gym in the 1st of January." Why do people leave life-changing decisions until a certain date? Do it now. Don't fucking wait till the 1st of January. You want to lose weight? Start losing. Put away that cake. Stop eating the pork pies. Stop drinking all that sugary bloody juice and go on a diet now. It doesn't matter whether it's the 1st of January or whether it's the 21st of November. Do it now. Don't wait for, you know, have a mate and, you know, love up my bits. But over the years, and to be fair, he is now kind of keeping fit, but over the years he's made these various promises to himself that he's going to join a gym and he's going to do this and he's going to do that. And it's always... next year, and there's loads of people like him, and then he doesn't do it. So why say I'm going to do something? So getting back to anniversaries, I'm not a big fan of celebrating anniversaries. I look upon every day as a blessing, and I try and make the most of it. You know, I don't wait to the 1st of January to go to the gym. I don't wait until whatever. I mean, I was out running on Boxing Day, and I was also out running on New Year's Day. There was probably lots of people, you know, lying in bed sick, with too much alcohol, whatever. But like I says, I know I'm a grouchy old sod. That's just me personally. I think the big part of it is because I'm now single, and my mum and dad aren't here, and you know, Christmas, as we get rammed down our throat with TV programmes, Christmas is all about family. And when you don't have a family, well, you do have, I've got a family, but if you don't have a big family, or some people aren't as lucky and don't have anybody, then I think Christmas and New Year can be one of the most, lonely times of the year. So always think about other people. You know what? I would love if people were to, instead of, if you know anybody that's an old age pensioner, or not even an old age pensioner, it could be somebody my age or somebody younger, whatever, who's maybe not got anybody. Think about them, get them across for their dinner. You know what I mean? I know I've not done that, so I maybe shouldn't be. I'm not best placed to be preaching to you guys, but yeah, Christmas and New Year is all about getting together. But I think, especially up here in Scotland, I mean, Hogmanay, as we call it, used to be a massive thing. It was the one time when people had a drink. You went to first foot, you went to people's houses, you took a bottle along, you had a wee nip, a couple of cans of beer. Now people can go and get drunk anytime they want. So New Year is not a big thing in Scotland anymore. I know we have the big Hogmanay party in Edinburgh, something I've never actually gone to. I mean, I'm 15 minutes away by train from Edinburgh, and yet I've never been to it because I've always had responsibilities. Maybe in a few years I may go along to it, and it might rekindle my sort of, it might get me and New Year talking again, So anyway, so yeah, that's it. I was back to work yesterday, and I'm happy to be back to work because it means I can now get back to a routine, get back to the gym, look forward to doing things. Because that's the problem, when you're off and you're sitting about the house doing hee-haw, then you don't have any structure. I was going to bed too late, getting up late, and just basically pissing the days, holidays, doing nothing with them, wasting them basically. But the good thing is, when you're working, you get to Friday night, you're thinking, yes, it's the weekend, and you can actually enjoy it. So, gaming wise, I was playing, I'm sitting in my kitchen here and I'm looking at my main cab over there. I did get the new controls fitted, and I've got to say they're a massive difference. Thanks to my mate Neil, who you all know very well. In fact, Neil was actually meant to be coming up here tonight, but he's otherwise engaged. So I was going to do a live waffle with Neil, but like I said, you can't make it. So Neil came up, was it maybe 2-3 weeks ago, and he fitted the new joysticks, courtesy of my mate Mike Hansen. Who very generously gave me the sticks. Well, I bought them, but he got them for a really good price for me. So they work brilliantly, a lot better than the original controls in the main cab. So we've been playing a bit of that. Not been doing a great deal. Huge apologies, by the way, for a complete lack of videos. Like I says, I think just being off and doing different bits and pieces, I ended up doing nothing, and that included making videos. I mean, I technically had all the time in the world to make videos, and I think because I've got all the time in the world to make videos, I didn't want to make any videos, whereas 2 years ago I would have bitten your hand off to have a day to myself to make videos. But I will be making some more, guys. Now it's New Year's past, I will get back into a sort of routine, and I may not be putting out as many as I used to put out. That probably won't happen, but I will get back, and apologies again about the lack of videos. So, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to, I've not really got anything else to talk about games wise, but because last week I did it was Friday, I drove to my mate George's. I had questions which I didn't answer, so I'm going to answer them, plus if there's any questions that have been posted this week. So I'm just going to pause it, back in a tick. Right, before I forget, I want to do a channel shout out. Normally you do these at the end, but well, is there a right or wrong way to do these? I don't know. I've not done a shout out for a long time now. The reason being is I just quite simply haven't been watching many YouTube channels. It's bad enough trying to get the time to make videos, and I've got even less time to watch them. But this channel was it was one that popped up in the Retro and Limb, is it 12 Days of Christmas? Basically, the Retro and Limb gang, they put out a new video every day leading up to Christmas. And one of the channels, it was put together by a chap who goes by the name of Derek Findas. Now, Derek is a fellow Scotsman, I think he's a wee bit younger than me, right enough. He certainly looks it. He has got an absolutely massive, cracking moustache. He looks very much like Paul Brown, actually, out the Bruins. If you don't know what the Bruins are, go and Google it. Broons, the Bruins. Derek, I think he comes from Dundee. He's got that kind of twang about him. Oh, hang on, where does it go? Yeah, there it's there. How would I best describe Derek's videos? I think his channel is kind of retro gaming based. From what I've seen, it's primarily, if not all, the spectrum. But what sets him apart from any other channel that I've seen is the comedy. He plays a character. Now I think now. Apologies, Derek, if I've got this wrong. He puts out this. He's got this sort of like style of video, which can only be described as an early 1980s BBC Scotland programme. It's got all the kind of the blurriness, and he's got this real Fife twang. Now twang is a type of dialect, it's how we speak, and but what apart from his twang, he puts a lot of humour into his videos. His editing skills are brilliant. They look like cheap videos, but that's intentional. He makes them look like a real. I don't know if you've ever watched what's it called, Harry Enfield and Chums years ago. They used to have a series or a feature called Chorley Warner, and it was basically like these public information films from like the 1930s, 1940s, 1950s maybe. And when the guys talk very posh, yes, good afternoon, Chorley Warner, blah blah blah, and Derek has got this kind of same sort of style of video. It's got all the lines that go through it, and his humour is fantastic. I don't think he's got a lot of videos. Let me just go into his channel actually. In fact, I'll let you just.
Where we delve into my television history. Being the greatest Scottish television presenter ever, I've had a long and varied career. Scotland's #1 computer game review show. #1 movie review show. And 8th most popular Mysteries of the World show. Been told to say like, subscribe.
Yeah. Anyway, you can watch him for yourself. He's currently got 314 subscribers. I don't know how long he's been going for. But all I can say is I've watched quite a few channels, and this is the first channel that I've come across for a long time. It was a bit like when I first discovered Ashens. It's like he's got his own sense of humour. This guy is completely and utterly unique. Go and check him out. If you're not into funny Scotsmen, then you may not find him funny, but I just think he's brilliant. He's got a really good dry sense of humour. His editing skills are excellent, and I wish I could make videos as good as what he does. So he's called the Derek Findas Archive, and I'll put his link down below. Go and check him out. He is really funny. If you do go and subscribe to him, maybe mention that you saw him, on my channel. So anyway, that is shout out corner over. So I think you don't get very often now with shout outs. Birdbox Speed Art. What is this? Sorry, I'm just looking at wee Bob's done a picture. Birdbox. I've heard all about this film. Apparently it's a kind of horror-y film. I don't know anything about it. Has anybody who actually watched it? Has anybody seen the film? I don't know. I'm not into horror films. I'll tell you one film I did watch recently and I thought it was pretty crap. Was the new Halloween film with Jamie Lee Curtis. Kind of like a remake of the first one, but it wasn't. I'm not going to spoil it, but all I will say is it's shite. Right, anyway, let's get back into my channel and try and find out comments from, excuse me, Die Hard. Was Die Hard a Christmas movie? I don't know. Do we really care? Listen, if you enjoy it and you want to watch it at Christmas, then do it. Right, come on, where am I going? No, not inbox, you fool. Library, my videos. Right, what I'll do is I'll start from... No, I'll go to last week, the Friday Waffle, the 21st... Was that it? 21st? Oh no, wait a minute. Yeah, right, okay. So, right, yeah. These are the questions. Right, okay, so these are the questions from last week. Now, I don't know if there are any questions, not last week, the week before. Yeah, this was where myself and Neil were talking about Christmas. Right, Colin Jones was asking me, yeah, a lot of Christmas memories. I figured out how TCR worked, and out of the family, I was unbeatable. Super Flight Deck was better. It launched the plane with a really thick rubber band. I had it set up so that it would get all the way up the stairs before turning. I remember that. Was that not yellow? I'm sure the one I had was blue. And I think I got, that was normal Flight Deck, but Super Flight Deck, as you say, had an elastic band. It sounds metal. An elastic band. That's how we rolled back in 1972. Yes, Subbuteo rugby was indeed shite. Yeah, I was talking about everybody else. I wanted Subbuteo, and my mum and dad got me Subbuteo rugby, which was just crap. Striker, remember that well. Yeah, that's the game, the football game where you press the heads of the wee guys. Right, anyway, questions. I don't know what the second bit is. Waffle questions. Did you have a good Christmas? I did, Colin, yeah. Went up to Ava, my daughter, was here on she was here. She stayed overnight Christmas Eve until Christmas Day. We opened the presents, and then I took her up to her mum's midday, and then I went up to my sister's, had my dinner, and I fell asleep on their couch because that's what old people do. Did you survive Whamageddon? Whamageddon? I don't know what you're talking about. Whamageddon. No, I've got absolutely no idea what you're talking about there, Colin. If I've missed something obvious, let me know. Anyway, thanks for your question, Colin. Right, Panther UK, Chris, nice one, chaps. I had a rally striker followed by a super tough burner back in the 1980s. I also had a thing called Ricochet Racers. Oh, I remember that fired glow-in-the-dark cars across the room. Great days. I think the reason I've gone so retro is a lack of innovation today. Like Neil says, a labour of love, not a humongous cash cow. I use Pi Music Player on Android, seems to play everything. Have another question because we all love springing these on you. Space has become scarce and you can only have 15 games on your MAME cab. What are you going to have? Bloody hell. Right, and not in any particular order. Berserk, Robotron, Galaxian Space Invaders, Phoenix, Scramble, Track and Field, Asteroids, Terra Cresta, Robotron, don't know if I said Robotron, that's 10. Dodon Pachi, 1942, Commando, 2 to go, Gyrus, and Gunsmoke. Ask me again tomorrow and I'll give you 15 different games. Well, the ones that would definitely be there is, well, I know the ones that I've just said. There's probably about maybe 40 games. I mean, Rolling Thunder, I love that. I love Yer Kung Fu, I love Rolling Thunder. There's probably about 30 games would be that I could be quite happy with. Is that all off? Yeah, anyway, thanks Chris, appreciate your question, mate. Next up, Doug Scullery. Aye, nice waffle fellas. I lusted after a racing chase but never got it. I used to love board games. Buccaneer. Something rings a bell, Buccaneer. I remember that. I can't remember anything about it. I remember the name Cluedo, not a big fan of Cluedo. Escape from Colditz, I love that game. My mate had it. I can't remember anything about it, but there was just something. There was something really, really exciting about it. I think the reality was it was quite a dull game, but yeah, Escape from Colditz. Tin Can Alley. Did I not mention that? Basically, Tin Can Alley, for anyone under the age of 40, you had these plastic tins which you set up, you would balance on a table, and you had this rifle, and it wasn't a light gun, it basically fired a little beam. It fired a little beam, hang on a wee second, of light, and when the light hit the target, it would make the little, you basically, in fact, I'm talking shite, these little cans sat on this pretend wall, it's a plastic wall, it was painted like bricks I think, and underneath each plastic tin was a little trigger, and when the light hit that trigger, it would thing with the can in the air, so it looked like you were hitting the can, but you didn't, you were shooting the little trigger underneath. But yeah, Tin Can Alley, I had a cheapo version of that, which was no surprise. I always seemed to get the kind of the Diet Coke versions of things. I had this thing, it was like an orange, I don't know what it was about the 1970s, orange, I'm not talking orange, I'm talking orange, fucking orange, orange as you could possibly get. If you've ever played the Binatone TV game, that was fucking orange times 10. And this light gun thing I had, it was an orange owl, and you hit the centre and it flashed and it made this noise and it flashed. It was super exciting, but that was the cheapo version of Tin Can Alley. I think Tin Can Alley was about 30 quid, which was a shitload of money back in the 1970s. Game & Watch, yeah, I had quite a few Game & Watches from Nintendo as well. What was one I had? The one I liked the most, I didn't have many, was probably the, what was it called? The Mole one. Yeah, it's called Mole. Pretty basic. I'm just reading what Doug's saying here, and I was exactly the same. The toy I still want from back then was that mini Cadbury's chocolate vending machine. I always wanted that as well, Doug, and you know why I always wanted it? And probably for the same reason. The 10-year-old me stupidly thought that if I bought this chocolate vending machine, it would have infinite chocolate. That was basically where I was coming from. I thought if I have my own chocolate vending machine, then I will never ever run out of chocolate. It will be infinite. I didn't realise that you had to put that it only came with, was it 12 of the tiny little chocolate square things, the Cadbury's chocolate squares, but I always wanted it. It was red, it was like post office, post box red, and it had these little, sorry, it had these little, sorry, my messages are coming in, they're just flinging me. Yeah, they had these little mini little chocolates, and you had to put in, I think it was 1 pence. It was kind of sold along the premise that it was a piggy bank, but basically, if you bought all 12, then you would save up 12 pence. But yeah, I always wanted one of these as well, and I never got it. And I remember seeing it years later and thinking, really? It was like the size of an iPad. It was tiny. I thought it was this huge big vending machine type thing. But yeah, I've completely forgotten all about that. That's an epic memory there, Doug. Brilliant. One of my embarrassing Christmas presents in 1975, I can always remember the year, 1975, I got the Gary Glitter annual. That was a big part, getting the annuals. Yeah, Gary Glitter annual. I can even remember the cover. I never ever did get the Jim will fix it one, fortunately. Christmas morning was usually spent with my nose buried in my new annuals. Yeah, remember that smell. Oh man, see, kids nowadays would not appreciate that. The smell was a big part of Christmas. The smell of, I can always remember my mum, my granny and I used to get my sister's bubble bath, and it sounds ridiculous because probably now kids go to Asda or Morrison's and just buy it. But back in the 70s we didn't have the money. So the only time we got luxuries, and it was a luxury, was when Christmas and birthdays came along, and you would get things like bubble bath or soap on a rope, which I used to get. I never understood the point of that. Yeah, the smelly things, the smelly bubble bath, the smell of, my mum and dad didn't buy a lot of fruit because it was expensive. And every Christmas, my mum used to buy these big, massive, was it Macintosh Reds? Is that what they're called? bright red apples, and she used to polish them. She used to shine them up with a hanky so they looked super reflective. And again, the smell of them, the smelly new annuals. Oh, wonderful. Roy the Rovers, the Beano, the Dandy, Whizzer and Chips, Sparky, loved Sparky. Obviously, yeah, the Beano, Dandy. Oh, what else? I can't remember, but I loved the Dandy, and I loved the Whizzer and Chips. The Topper, remember the Topper? You remember the Topper comic? Most comics were like the size of an A4 piece of paper. The Topper was an A3 size. It was like a newspaper, and I'm sure it had a ginger-headed guy. He was the main character. What was he called? Was he called Ginger? I can't remember. It was the 70s after all, so we probably got away with things like that, stereotyping people. I'm sure he was called Ginger, or was he called something else? But he was a ginger-headed guy, and I'm sure he was in the Topper. But brilliant memories there, Doug. Thanks very much for the questions. That's excellent. Yeah, and Dave, Lone Boys Post, great memories. I had a striker. It made that ricking sound and had the fake moulded shocks on the front. I remember that. Yeah, I got mine second hand. Again, my mum and dad wouldn't buy me brand new stuff like that. I think I got it in what you would call it, a junkyard sale or a car boot sale. Back then it was called a jumble sale. So yeah, brilliant. Mr. Williamson, that monitor shadow. Ah yeah, I was talking about the shadow on my main monitor. The monitor shadow, check your monitor's overdrive settings done via the options on the monitor itself. Turn them off completely and the ghosting should be gone. I'll need to be honest, Andy, it's difficult for me to actually get into the monitor. I mean, I can take the back off the main cab, but it's quite difficult actually getting in and getting into the controls. It is a very old monitor, so I don't know if it's going to have that. But to be fair, it's not as bad. It's kind of been behaving itself a wee bit. I noticed it was slightly there today, but you don't notice it at all when you're playing the games. I did have a chance of Neil Neil messaged me earlier on and said that there was somebody giving away two 19-inch 4x3 monitors for free. I messaged the girl, and unfortunately somebody's already beat me to it. But if anybody has got a 19-inch 4x3 ratio monitor you're either giving away or selling very cheap, please let me know, because that's what I need for that main cab. And finally, Jamie's saying, by the way, the 21st was my 50th. Where was my present? Really, Jamie, you don't look that young. I didn't know it was your Christmas present. But there you go. How's that, mate? Right, and last comment on this video. Ian, now I always call you Bangkokian. It's Bangkok Ian. I don't know why, Ian. I know your name's Ian, and I've always called you Bangkokian, which is a bit stupid. It's Bangkok Ian 1967, presumably because that's the year you were born. I had the action man with the parachute as well. Used to love chucking him out of the upstairs window and watching the chute glide him down. Also had the Evel Knievel and $6 Million Man too. I was a rally commando kid. Yeah, I was talking about the bikes. My best mate who was spoiled rotten, I used to pick maybe 20 things out the catalogue and I'd maybe get 3 or 4 of them. My mate would get every single one. But I got the rally grifter, he got a rally commando, and he wanted my rally. I'm sure on the first day I actually spent more time on his commando and he was on my grifter, just because we both knew the grifter was better. So anyway, that is last week's questions. Now the questions that were posted on last Fridays, if that makes any sense. Come on, why am I refreshing YouTube? Right, I don't know if there's many. There we go, right. The Friday Waffle, this was the one that I did on the 28th of December. That was my drive. That was when I was driving to George's. You know, it's bizarre. See, I go on about YouTube. You'll know yourself. It's like Facebook. You go into Facebook, and before you know it, you're sitting pinging through photographs of people you don't even know, and it's like, what the hell? YouTube, it pops up with all these recommendations. Now, for some odd reason, I keep getting all these gypsy fights, basically unlicensed knuckle fights, guys knuckle fighting, you know, fighting with their bare hands. I don't know why I'm getting them. I mean, there's one there, bare knuckle. Let's have a look. I mean, seriously. They're absolutely brutal. Excuse me if there's any expletives, there probably is. But yeah, I've got no idea why they pop. Oh, that was a good. Bloody hell, they're absolutely brutal. Yeah, I don't know why I get these popping up, and of course I've watched a couple of them. They're quite. They are quite. It's intriguing to watch them. I mean, they must be off their head. But anyway, yeah, I watched one of them. I think because I've watched one, and now we get all these other ones popping up. So anyway, let's get into the Friday Waffle questions from last week, if there indeed is there any. Right, Lacosa is saying, totally agree with you about Laurel and Hardy, sometimes slapstick comedy without doubt. Sorry, timeless slapstick comedy, without doubt the greatest comedy duo of all time. That said, I'm sceptical about the film, as I just know they'll use artistic license too much for the worse. Possibly, yeah, I mean, it's like the Queen film, people going, oh, the Queen film wasn't accurate. The thing I like about the Queen film, the Bohemian Rhapsody, I've seen it twice, it gives you a wee sneaky peek into the sort of behind the scenes of it. And yeah, I'm sure some of the things, like when in the Queen film, well, in fact, I'm not going to spoil it if you've not seen it, but they've certainly twisted it slightly. Some of the things that happen in the Queen film don't happen in this, and I'm sure you'll be right about the Laurel and Hardy one. But I love Laurel and Hardy so much, and I've never seen, you know, to be able to get a glimpse of the history of these guys is enough for me. I will 100% be going to see it when it comes out. I think the two guys do look the part. They've got the voices. They look like them. So I'm going to give it a go. But I do think they will tweak it slightly. They'll probably try and make it more, you know, big filmish kind of thing. But anyway, yeah. Mark Lactobacillus Prime, hope you had a great New Year's Eve and a stellar 2019. VR gets me heaving and projectile vomiting in minutes, so it's just not for me. Yeah, I was talking about VR last week, how it's not something that I'm into in a big way, although I am trying to make more use of it. But unfortunately, a lot of the quick, like probably the biggest, most popular game, in fact, and so a lot of people are saying is the best VR experience of anything, certainly racing wise, is Wipeout on the PlayStation 4, and I can't play it because it makes me feel sick. Next up is my mate Alan at GTB Films. He was the guy that did he wrote all these Spectrum games. I'm just looking, I've got 56 minutes I can run to, so I've got another 18 minutes. Possible question for the Friday Waffle. There's a lot of chat just now about the new interactive movie on Netflix, Bandersnatch. Interactive movie? What? The new how can he be interactive, Alan? I've never even heard of it, Alan. Like, okay, yeah, a lot of chat about the new interactive movie on Netflix, Bandersnatch. It's based in the UK in the early 80s during the bedroom coder era. I restarted my Netflix subscription to try it, and although I've only watched the first 30 minutes, I'm really enjoying it. Have you seen it? And if so, what did you think? It's got a lot of links to the old choose your own adventure type of book that were popular around that time. They were sort of an early form of text adventure before people got computers. I know you're not a big text adventure fan, but do you remember these books fondly, or were you unimpressed? Firstly, Alan, I've never even heard of this Bandersnatch on Netflix. Well, I've got Netflix. I'm going to go and check that out tonight, actually. Interested to see that. So it's interactive, so you have to, I'm guessing it'll ask you a question and then you choose, and then do you fast forward the film or something? I don't know how it's going to work, but I'm going to go and check it out. I do remember these books, Alan. Yeah, I'm not a text adventure fan. I do remember them, never played one. Basically, as Alan says, you get to a page and it'll say, you know, you go into a cave and there's a troll. Do you A, run away, B, stand and fight, or C, you know, give them all your money. And basically, depending on what one you chose, you then turn to the next page, to a certain page. So if it's Runaway, you turn to page 16. If it was Fight, it would be page 17. And so yeah, it was like interactive, quite interesting. But I never played them, Alan. But that's an interesting one to talk about. And again, thanks, Alan, for the question. Right, next up is Retro Russ. Hi, Alan. It's Russ. Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year to yourself, Russ. Question for next Waffle. Do you have a favourite type of retro game category out of arcade, MAME? A favourite type of retro? I think this is obvious. For me, it is vertical shoot 'em ups without a shadow of doubt. I do like a lot of other games, but arcade wise, it's got to be vertical shooters, definitely. Though saying that, Robotron isn't a vertical shooter, Berserk isn't a vertical shooter. But I would say I love 1942's, anything that scrolls up the way. Retro computers, Commodore 64, Spectrum. I don't have a particular favourite genre. I would probably, if I was being pushed to decide, I don't think that the 8-bit machines, because of the screen ratio, I don't think they are particularly good at doing shoot 'em ups, because it meant that the screen was wider than it was high. So you didn't. I mean, the classic example is 1942 in the Commodore 64. It's a fat screen, but you don't get much a chance before to react. As soon as the baddies come onto the screen, they're halfway down the screen and you die. So I would probably say for 8-bit computers, I would say platformers, Miner 2049er, Manic Miner, Bounty Bob Strikes Back, Bruce Lee. I think kind of the static screen platformers, I would definitely say. Old computers, Atari 2600. I never had an Atari 2600 back in the day, so I can't say I had a particular favourite. What would I play in the Atari 2600? Not an awful lot. Probably the game that I play most out of that is either Space Invaders or Pac-Man, but I never had it back in the day, Russ, so I don't have any real nostalgia for it. I think mine would be MAME arcade games. Love pressing a button to get... sorry, I've completely missed... Sorry, Ross, I've completely misinterpreted what you're asking there. You weren't asking what my favourite genre on each particular group was. You're basically asking if I had to pick what's my favourite out of arcade, 8-bit, or old systems like the Atari 2600. It would always have to be arcade, MAME. You know, as much as I love the Spectrum, Commodore 64, Atari, whatever, Amstrad, you know, I can play the real arcade games. I'm a big arcade fan, and I would very rarely, if at all, choose to play a Commodore 64 version of a game when I can play the arcade. It might be easier on the C64, but 9 times out of 10, I mean, as much as I loved Commando in the C64, I would always choose to play the arcade one. So that's my fault, Ross. But anyway, I've answered it 2 different ways. So you're saying yours would be the MAME arcade games. Love pressing a button to get credits instead of putting coins in. Yeah, brilliant. Great question though. And next up, NiftyRetroGamer, my good mate Neil. How you doing, Neil? Sorry I've not been in touch for a while, mate. Neil has got an excellent channel, by the way. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick a big fat link to Neil's channel down below. Go and check him out. Neil's got a great channel, and I know people say this all the time. Oh, you deserve more subscribers. Neil is the classic example. He's got a really, his you know, front end, his presentation, his videos is knockout. He comes up with some great ideas for videos. They're really professional. Please go and check out Neil's channel. Link down below. If you like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, don't subscribe. But trust me, if you enjoy my channel, you'll enjoy Neil's. Good stuff, Alan. It's funny you should talk about the VR. I was at a mate's last week and played on his PSVR for the first time. I've really got the VR bug again now. I plan to put out a video soon of us trying out Wipeout VR and Resident Evil once I finish all the filming. I have to say I didn't feel sick at all playing Wipeout. I know you did in the past, and I still get sick playing VR games, so not sure why I seem immune to that one. I did change the settings, but maybe I wasn't in that maximum one. Yeah, in Wipeout you can change the settings to try and sort of minimise the sickness. The Oculus Go isn't that much better than chucking a phone into Gear VR, but the Oculus Quest comes out early next year, and although it's another standalone device, it's far more powerful and already has a very few decent VR games announced, like Robo Recall. Yeah, I was that close from hitting the button and buying an Oculus Go, and the reason I didn't is because I didn't have any money. But I think I will hang off and have a look at this Oculus Quest, because and Dave, to be fair, Dave Longboy's Post, has said the same. Yeah, the quality of the games aren't much better than the Samsung Gear VR, which I've got upstairs and I don't ever use. So I think I'd be better off hanging fire and seeing what this Oculus Quest is. I love Creed. I've been playing it on my Rift and love it. It is so much fun. I've also been playing Beat Saber only this morning. Rez is great fun too. I also played our friend Jeff Minter's newly released Grid Runner in VR. I would kill for Tempest 2000 in VR. And I even played some NES games using 32 NES VR, which works without a 3D headset. Wow, it works amazingly well. I couldn't believe how well it manipulated games like Mario and Contra. Check it out. I need to actually do that. You're spot on about the sound in VR. Some games really focus on 3D binaural sound, and the point someone made to me is that you're also wearing headphones playing in VR, where you might not when you play a game normally. Yeah, the sound in like Tetris, whatever it's called, is just absolutely awesome. Yeah, I got Creed, which I'll need to play. I only played the once, and I've not played it since. I might give that a go tonight. Anyway, thanks very much, Neil. But again, please go and check out Neil's channel down below. Next up, the ever popular Mr. Batman. Superlative waffleage, sir. Something non-gaming related for a future waffle. Just checking the time. I've got 10 minutes. We know you like Marillion, Fish, Jean-Michel Jarre, etc. But what are your thoughts on bands like The Smiths? Honest answer, Bat. My mate loved The Smiths. I never listened to them. I always thought he was dull and depressing and boring, but I wasn't. Why is that suddenly? Alright, okay, it's just reached the end of a file and it's going to start saving a new file. So there might be a wee dink in between. Yeah, The Smiths, I never listened to them. I've never listened to them even now, so I can't say I was a big fan. The Jam, love The Jam. You know, I wasn't a big fan of The Jam back in the day, but I've got their greatest hits and it's one of the most played albums that I listen to. Simple Minds, again, I wasn't a big Simple Minds fan, but when I listen to them now, they put out some epic tunes. I mean, to me, the Simple Minds will always kind of be the soundtrack to the sort of late 80s, you know, just big numbers. Love Simple Minds. Solo artists like Madonna, David Bowie, wasn't a big Madonna fan. I mean, I listened to her on the radio. Again, David Bowie, I'm not going to try and say that I'm hip and cool and say, oh, I love Bowie. I didn't love Bowie. I didn't listen to his music as a kid. I don't listen to it now. I was very sad when he passed away, because he was, without a shadow of doubt, you know, an inspiration to lots and lots of people. His music wasn't my cup of tea, I have to say. Do you like Cream? That's I love Cream, especially in coffee or with strawberries. No, Cream was the group that Eric Clapton played in. Not a big fan of Eric Clapton. I do respect his guitar playing, but I couldn't say... Saying I'm not a fan doesn't mean that I dislike him, it just means that I wasn't really into his music. I never really listened to his music. Led Zeppelin, again, I'm not really into 1970s rock. I'm more 80s soft rock. Bon Jovi, you know, Def Leppard, Metallica, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, all these kind of groups. You know, I was never really into the 70s. Although I do like a bit of Deep Purple and Rainbow, Since You've Been Gone. So anyway, Bat, listen, thanks very much for that. Yeah, I'm just conscious of I've got 6 minutes. Next up is Alex Refraction PCX X2. Nice waffleage, dude. Next year has kind of died a death, yeah. Sorry, New Year has kind of died a death. I'm sure people still let off fireworks, but when I was a kid, we used to all go out in the street at midnight, as did the rest of the street, and we'd all wish each other a happy new year. Nobody does that anymore, as most people stay and watch Jules Holland and have a couple of drinks. Myself, personally, I'll probably have some drinks and play some games and possibly realise sometime around midnight It's New Year and wish Happy New Year to my girlfriend. That's me to you, Alex. Anyway, Happy New Year to yourself, young man. Again, Bangkok, Ian, 1967. I am looking forward to watching Laurel and Hardy movie too, mate. By the way, I would check out the reviews for the Sherlock Holmes movie. Might best be avoided. Well, we've already seen it. It was alright. It wasn't the greatest. It wasn't my choice of film, I have to say, but we'd already pre-booked it. It was alright. All the cables on the Rift and Vive is still to this day a huge pain, so I am tempted as well by the new Oculus. Best VR game on PSVR is Astrobot Rescue. It's a Super Mario quality game but in VR and it's excellent. You know what? Once I get money I'll need to buy that. I don't have it and lots of people have been going on and on about it. Some are saying it's the best PSVR game. In fact, some might even be saying it's one of the best VR games on any system. Wee Bob, enjoy the drivey waffle and all the best for 2019. Hope you have a more calm year and enjoy the peace. Best wishes to you and your family. Thanks very much, Bob. Same to yourself, buddy. Again, I'm going to give Bob a wee shout out because he's just a young channel. He doesn't do... I've not been watching a lot of Bob. I've not been watching many videos, but one thing, the videos that I do enjoy watching is Bob is a fantastic drawer. He does a lot of drawings using not iPads. He uses I don't know if it's a mouse or he uses it must be a touch tablet or something. But some of the stuff that he's done, he drew a picture of Ariana Grande, and my daughter's a massive fan, and I showed Ava this video of Bob. He speeds the video up, and it is fantastic. So please go and check out Bob. Video link down below. And while you're at it, go and check out Bangkok Ian. Ian has a fantastic website. If you want to know anything about VR, then Ian's the man. Ian doesn't need a shout out. He's doing well on his own. But you know what? I'm going to stick his link down below. So there's going to be about 4 links down below. Go and check them out. If you like the channels, please go and subscribe. Anyway, thanks very much, Bob. I hope, wish you all the best. Lo-Fi Lurch, the graphics on this driving game are excellent. Great Waffle, all the best for 2019. Thanks very much, mate. He's referring to the fact I had the GoPro set up and I was talking and driving, hence the reason, the great graphics. Chris, Panther UK, Happy New Year, mate. Never apologise for falling back on Arcade Perfect My Arse. It's a stellar series. Have a good one and here's to more. Thank you very much. Hi Alan, sorry I didn't ask any questions this week. Too many family obligations. Can you maybe do a video about Res? I tried the PSVR demo of Res and didn't think it was all that fantastic, but everyone seems to love it. Convince me. I will indeed. I've not actually done any PSVR videos because my mate Ian does it better than I could ever do it. But I will definitely do it. I also mean to get my video for the C64 Mini out as well. Colin is saying Happy New Year's Day. Happy New Year's Day. I start work at 6 AM. Happy 2019. And finally, Doug Scullery, looking forward to seeing the Spectrum Next in action. That new Attic Attack sounds great. If now I hear Matthew Smith is planning on releasing a new Manic Miner Part 3 for the new machine, then I will definitely be getting one. So anyway, listen guys, thank you very much for all these wonderful questions. And finally, while I'm on the talking about shout outs, I just want to give a big shout out to my mate Chris, Panther UK. Now, Chris doesn't have a YouTube channel, I don't think anyway. I'm just going to read out what he does. Chris he basically remasters SID tunes, but he makes them, he's got 2 SID chips and he turns them into kind of stereo. In fact, I'm going to read out what Chris actually told me to say because I don't understand. My C64C has a SID effects board in it. This plugs into the SID socket. The board has 2 SID sockets on it. In one I have a 6581 and in the other I have a 8580. The board has a stereo output, 1 chip in the left and the other in the right, giving me 6 channels of sound, 3 on each side. Using the slight differences between the 2 chips creates a crisp stereo sound. And what Chris is saying here is the only thing he does do extra is normalise the channels so all the levels are equal. But he doesn't alter the SID sound at all. But that's how he gets his sound. I hope that makes sense to you guys. I'll put a link to, you can download, Chris has done 4 albums, and he very kindly did, I asked him if he would do the Mighty Bog album. The Mighty Bog's a guy who used to put out videos on the old, not the internet, CompuNet on the Commodore 64, and he was one of the first guys, that's when I first got to know about music on the Commodore 64, and Chris very, very kindly changed all the Mighty Bog SID tunes into these stereo ones. So go and check it out. You can download all of Chris' albums down below. And as I says, guys, please go and check out all the other channels that I've given a mention to. So that is it. I've kind of almost ran out of time. I've got about 90 seconds. I've got less than that, actually. I've got 70 seconds to finish up. I just want to say, once again, guys, I wish you all the very, very best for this year. You know, last year was a bit of a challenging year for me for lots of different reasons, as most of you know. I do want to continue to thank everybody for your absolutely stellar friendship, support, you know, your comments. I am a dick, I'm not responding to comments, and I am a dick. I promise I will get back to that. But before this runs out, guys, I'm going to draw this video to a close. Just want to say thanks as always for your cracking support, and as always, thank you very, very much for watching.